It being 6:29 p.m. on October 16th, 2024, I call to order the meeting of the Brockton Conservation Commission. This meeting is being conducted remotely in accordance with Governor Healy's open meeting provisions, updated in March of 2023, which extended certain COVID-19 provisions until March 31st, 2025. Real-time public participation and comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. If you wish to comment during the public input portion of that hearing, please use the raise your hand function to be addressed at the appropriate time. For those of you joining by phone only, please press *9 to raise your hand. A copy of this recording will be on the city's webpage. Please note that this is a professional meeting. Should disrespectful or inappropriate statements be made during the meeting, the host reserves the right to mute the speaker. All votes taken during this meeting will be done by roll call vote to ensure count accuracy. Members of the commission, please state your first and last name for purposes of roll call and to establish quorum. So
Peggy
Ruby,
Curtis. Oh, sorry.
no, I just said
Ruby.
Ruby's not here. Yeah.
I didn't. Okay. Peggy Curtis.
Lily Green.
Sharifa Map.
Justin Talbot.
And Joyce Forrest, and quorum's been established. Okay, first item on the agenda are the minutes of the September 18th meeting. Commissioners, have you had a chance to look over those minutes? Are there any questions or changes that should be recommended? No, if not, then I'll entertain a motion, please, to accept the minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting in September 18th.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Forrest, aye. That motion passes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a notice of intent for a property at 99 Alger Street. Kyle, can you verify a DEP file number and the fact that abutters have been notified?
Yes, both of those have happened. Butters have been properly notified, and DEP did issue a file number without comment.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Tavares, are you representing J.K. Holmgren?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Would you like to present your information?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the project we have before today is for a septic system repair. Originally, there was an existing cesspool here that had, completely failed. So the plan was to install a new septic system off to the northern part of the property. However, he had Board of Health approval, a couple months ago, I want to say now. So he went ahead and already installed the system. So, now we're a little late to the party, I guess, and we're just trying to get it squared away with everybody on what we should do from here forward.
Kyle, would you like to add to that, or
Yeah, just to add to the kind of the background of this. So, just for the commission's information, this notice of intent was originally filed with the commission in like June or July of this year. So it's been kind of actively being filed for months. They did not initially include locally required documentation, so it never made it onto an agenda. So I just want to give that as to part of the context for this. So, the applicant, rightfully so, they may have thought that all this was taken care of, because they did initially put the notice of intent, to us, earlier this year. So that being said, Matt, do you want to kind of review the actual site plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I was saying, there is a, BVW to the west side of the property, has been flagged, Brad Holmes, and where, as of right now, we're 53.5 feet away. I actually did.
Do you have a copy of the map there?
I do. I can't pull it up on my screen though. I mean, I can do this if you want.
No problem. Give me one moment.
Yeah, sorry. Perfect. Perfect. So as you can see, the BBW is to the west side of the property. Over there, the septic system is going on the northern side. We're about 53 feet away. I actually have gone out and done an as-built, and it's actually, just about 54 feet away. So it does comply with that. They have a silt sock that goes around the back of the property that we have proposed. And really that's it. That's the septic tank is it's a little closer to the house than the existing cesspool was. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
So when you say the back of the house, you mean the part that's up against the wetlands, right?
Yes, exactly. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Kyle, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, sure. I've got a few things. First, I just want to talk about the notice of intent and kind of forget about the fact that they've already done some of this work. So, as far as the septic system installation is concerned, with the Wetlands Protection Act, what septic systems like this are presumed to be in compliance with the act, if they follow like all the state, health codes and things like that for the construction of the septic system, and that the septic system is basically at least 50 feet away from a resource area. And so, as Matt was saying, it is outside of that 50-foot buffer zone, so we're kind of in the clear there. I've also been out to the site and confirmed the flag locations and also measured that distance, and it is over 50 feet, so we're all set there. So as far as is this plan something that could be approved, the answer is absolutely yes. And as Matt said, they have erosion controls on the plan here, kind of around the limit of work, kind of encompassing the area that the septic system will be installed within. So that's kind of talking about the plan. And then I'm going to shift over to, after we were made aware that they've already gone ahead and installed the septic system. I went out to the site just to kind of see exactly what was going on when I was doing the delineation, confirmation, and everything like that. So when I was out there, I did notice that some of the erosion controls aren't installed as they should be. So first off, the erosion controls aren't staked down as they're not secured properly. And then in addition to that, the overlap between like two segments of erosion controls weren't installed correctly. So there were some gaps in coverage kind of there as well. And then finally, the erosion controls, when I was there seemed to be an older set of erosion controls that were at the site that were either degraded or B, didn't fully encompass the limit of work, like kind of down over like in this area behind the house here. So those are some concerns that I have. Obviously, they've already begun doing some work. So overall, my recommendation to the commission is that the septic system as is proposed here is something that could be permitted and would likely have been permitted had there not been the construction that has already occurred. So my recommendation would be that the commission vote to issue an order of conditions approving the installation of the septic system, but then also issue a notice of violation to the property owner to basically inform them the reasons why, detailing like how the process should work. So next time, if they were to do any other filing, they can do things the right way. The notice of violation, I think that's a better option than moving forward with an enforcement order. This is a clear violation of the act. Any work done within a jurisdictional resource area that's not done with an order of conditions or a determination from the commission is a violation. The problem with issuing an enforcement order for this project is that an enforcement order, it's a legal document, and when you issue that, you need to provide some solution for the violator to do a requirement of them to do to rectify the violation. And in this case, that remedy would be filing an after the fact notice of intent because the work is permittable. But since we have the notice of intent here, it was more of an administrative misunderstanding. I think just a notice of violation, kind of explaining the whole situation, will kind of get the message across, but then also allow us to move forward with this. Because currently, right now, the system has been installed, but it's not been backfilled. So there's a lot of like just fill that's mounted up around the septic system currently. So I think anything that we can do to kind of move forward with this and get the construction completed will be beneficial. So that is my recommendation. Any questions for me?
I just have a couple of questions. I'm not sure if they're for you or not, but so the septic tank is that little thing that has the three holes on it, right? Three circles, which would be, yeah. And then is that like a leaching field, that thing that's north of that looks like it has lines on it?
Yes. Yep.
So it's a leaching field. How, do you know
Yes.
how deep that is?
How deep it is? The proposed elevation was, let me check. So the bottom of it was at elevation 107. The ground was 111. So yeah, about 4.5 to 5 feet.
Deep.
Yep.
So 107. Okay, that lower corner looks like 109, 110.
Yeah, on the left-hand side of it, but they had to bring the grade up.
Yeah, isn't there supposed to be an area, like a certain amount of distance between the bottom of that and?
Exactly. Yeah, there has to be 5. There has to be 5 feet. Yep.
So did you have to bring fill in to be able to get that? No?
It doesn't look like it based off of the plan from the grading.
Okay, so it's 5 feet.
And I mean, the site when I was out there doing the as-built, it's not like a mounded system, so I doubt they brought in any fill.
Huh. Okay. Okay, and do you have any idea where I don't know, it's hard to tell from the map is kind of dense. It's hard to, so where would the heavy equipment have been staged, do you know?
Yeah, when I was there, there was an excavator, basically right to the north of the house, and that's I'm assuming
Up where
they
the-
hung out there when they weren't. Yeah, when they weren't using it.
Okay. And do you have any idea why, because I assume normally the company knows that they're supposed to have a permit, right, in hand? Did
Yeah.
you have to put the permit number and everything up? Do you have any
From
idea?
what happened was, from my understanding, the homeowner got his approval from the Board of Health, and
Yeah.
he thought he was good to go because he had everything all submitted. So, he told them to go for it, and they just started working. And then Scott from my office was notified, and he said, "You guys haven't even gone to conservation yet." So, it opened everything up, and they have since stopped. They haven't done anything more, but the system was already installed when we found that out.
Mhm. Okay. Kyle, anything else before I open it up to the commissioners?
Yeah, I've got if the commission chooses to move forward with issuing an order of conditions this evening, I have some recommended special conditions. So normally we require a pre-construction meeting to kind of review the plan and the order of conditions, and make sure the erosion controls are all installed correctly. I spoke to Scott earlier this week and asked him to convey to the property owner just to stop work until we could have this meeting and kind of decide how we're going to move forward with things. But I would modify the order of conditions to require basically a mid-construction meeting where we go out there and have the same sort of meeting, reviewing the plan, the erosion controls, and the order of conditions. Additionally, before they continue to do any work here, I would like to see the erosion controls staked down correctly, and more erosion controls installed along this portion of the site here where they have either been degraded or weren't installed at all. Excuse me. And then finally, one thing I would like the commission to consider is normally we just include language, pardon me, one moment. Pardon me. We normally install conservation markers along the limit of work, which here, the limit of work is the erosion controls here, this kind of solid line with the squares. Now that would put some of these conservation markers like right in the middle of the lawn. So I was just wanting some guidance from the commission if A, we think those are necessary at all to have at this site, and B, if we do think they're necessary, where we should have them installed here. So the reason I say are they even necessary at all is there's a very dramatic grade change from like the lawn area down to the pond. It's a very steep slope, and that basically overlaps right now with the wooded area. So I don't think there's much danger of people, getting there and saying, "Oh, we can expand the yard or build something there." It's very apparent that there's a steep slope going down to a pond there. So whether or not we have that condition included is really up to the commission. But I would like some guidance on if you want that to be included, where you want the conservation markers to be included.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions and comments? And
I have a question for Kyle. Do the conservation markers have to be along the erosion controls? Can they be along, say, the 50-foot buffer zone or,
I mean, the commission can basically say whatever they want, and it should be reasonable, obviously. But, at one point here, if you can still look at the map, the 50-foot, kind of is farther into the lawn area than the erosion controls are currently. So it just kind of, I'm not sure if we want to put them atop atop the slope here or kind of what we want to do.
Can I
well, it
ask?
looks like they have a swing set and a shed there too, so.
that's the 50, right?
That's around there. Mm-hmm.
Kyle, could you zoom in a little bit, please?
Yeah.
I'm having a little trouble seeing. And where the property line ends is where again?
And the property line on the south is this bold line, and on the north, it's this kind of bold line here.
Okay, so it's all okay.
So if it were halfway down the slope between the 50 and the 25 or near the 25, would that be unreasonable?
We could put them there, but again, and Matt, you might want to speak into this, but like, there's no mistaking once you start going down that slope. I mean, that whole area back there. I mean, we could.
Yes, I'll pond.
Yeah, that's very much not a place that you would be building a shed or really looking to expand. We could certainly install them along the 25-foot kind of right through here, and that would be fine. But like they'll likely never be seen again once those get put in, after a year, just because this is a wooded area back here anyway. We can certainly do the 25-foot around the pond. I think that would be in line with what we have done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Is it necessary to have the markers or?
It's not a requirement. It's a standard condition that this commission often includes, but it doesn't necessarily have to be included in each order of conditions.
I think it's beneficial to have something there in case the next owner wants to level off the area and add to the existing yard. Have something visual there closer, like in the halfway point between the 50 and the 25.
Sure. I mean, we can
Would that-
certainly include language like that in the order. That would be after the slope starts to break down towards the pond between the 25 and the 50.
That sounds reasonable. They won't go through the swing.
Is there a reason why this property is not hooked up to public plumbing, sewer? Matt?
I'm not sure what actually, it almost doesn't look like
Does
this
it-
section of Alger Street doesn't have it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't quote me on that though. I'm not positive. But we probably would have shown a sewer line in the street if there was one.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then you will be doing additional development with the garage and the driveway and all of that?
Yes, yeah, he wants to put an extension on and, possibly add a breezeway with the garage. I don't know when his, plan to start that is. But he had ideas of doing it. So,
Yeah, and if you look at the map, the plan now, yeah,
That's-
there was a talk about extending the driveway, doing a garage here, breezeway. But again, this orange line here is the 100-foot buffer. So
yeah,
all of that work would be outside of jurisdiction, assuming that they're not, staging things back over here or whatever.
Right.
Mhm. And it's the Department of, was it the Health Department that has to go in and evaluate the septic system?
yes, yep.
And then has it already passed a post-construction part of that, or?
So what happens is they usually do a like a bottom of hole inspection after they get the hole prepped for the system to go in. I'm assuming that got done since they installed the system, but since that's happened, nobody's been there because they stopped the process. So
So we'd be able to find out that it was in fact inspected by the health department, though?
yeah, oh for sure. Yep.
Okay,
And we could include, that in the order of conditions that before they get a certificate of compliance, they must provide, the proof of inspection or whatever.
sure, that would be good. Lily, any questions?
No, I'm in agreement with, especially I think it's good to have some type of signage between the 25 and 50 and the other things you've mentioned.
Commissioners, any other questions?
I have one, and I'm sorry, I'm new to this, but Kyle, is it typical that the city doesn't go through the commission to check to see after or the work is being done prior with the excavation? And obviously, is that filled in, or is that still open?
It's
The leaching system.
still open. And then as far as is it standard for the city? So like the city's not really directly involved with any of this as far as we're involved with the permitting side of things, but no, I don't think anyone from the city was out there, giving the thumbs up for this to proceed at any point.
Okay. All right, understood. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments? Is there anyone here from the public that might want to speak to this issue?
I do not see, and if you are here from the public and want to speak to this, please raise your hand. But at this point, Madam Chair, I don't see anyone with their hand raised.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, do you feel comfortable closing?
Yes.
The only question I'm not, so should we do the order of conditions first and then the violation notice, or the other way around?
I think you can probably do it in the same vote, to issue an order of conditions with a notice of violation.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So I entertain a motion then to close?
Make a motion to close the matter of 99 Alger Street.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Second the motion.
This is a second. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lily. Okay, roll call vote.
Curtis, aye.
Green, aye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Voris, aye. That motion passes. I entertain a motion now then to issue an order of conditions for 99 Alger Street, as well as a violation notice
Yes.
of unpermitted work at the site.
I make a motion for an order of conditions along with a notice of violation for 99 Alger Street. And
And
the
should-
conditions should,
What special conditions do you think we should add?
I can just summarize those again quickly, if that's all right. So those would be to provide proof of inspection of the system by the health department before issuance of a certificate of compliance. We're going to modify the wording to have a mid-construction meeting rather than a pre-construction meeting. And then we're going to ensure that the erosion controls are properly installed and fully encompass the limited work.
Do we have to say anything at all about the stabilization? Because I believe I saw some photos and everything was really open and not seated or anything. Does that?
Well, I mean, it will have to be that, and that's standard language that's normally in the
Right.
special conditions. So like after all this is done, before we issue the certificate of compliance, it will need to be stabilized with grass seed or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Would be nice if it could get done before winter, actually, at least attempted. Okay,
So we have a motion. We need a second.
I second that motion.
okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Aye.
Talbot, I.
Forrest, aye. The motion passes. Okay, so you will write up the violation and notice and
Yep. I'll take care of all that.
good. Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. I think
You
I have the
staying
next
on
one
for-
too.
You're staying on for the next one as well?
Yeah, yep.
So the next item on the agenda is a notice of intent for 136 Perkins Avenue. Abutters and DEP file number, have those been approved?
So abutters have been properly notified, but DEP has not yet issued a file number for this project. So we can open the public hearing, but we cannot issue an order of conditions for this project.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Kyle, do you
All
mind?
right, sure.
Yep. Do you mind bringing it up for me,
Yeah,
please?
got it here.
Thank you. Okay, so with this project, there's an existing house on the project, and there's also an existing garage building out back. The plan of this project is to tear down the building and the garage and propose a new two-family house. There will be a new sewer service that will be tying into the house up and along with water. So there is no wetlands for this project. It's just in the flood zone. But the point kind of that we're trying to prove with this is that with tearing down the two buildings, that's roughly about 200 cubic yards for the in the floodplain. And the new building that's going up is actually only 176 cubic yards in the floodplain. So we'd actually be decreasing the floodplain volume. So that's the main point we're trying to prove across here. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I do have a quick comment. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
should have mentioned this before.
Yep.
One of the requirements for notice of intent, this is from the Wetlands Protection Act, is that this, and when I say it's from the Wetlands Protection Act, I mean it's not a local requirement or a local regulation, right? But you need to the applicant needs to have filed for all applicable local permitting. And so I don't, Matt, have you filed for a variance with ZBA for this project yet?
I don't know. Let me see if I have it in my notes. I don't know. I don't see anything here with ZBA. Scott didn't mention that to me. So
I spoke to Scott about this last week, and he was intending to apply before the meeting today, so at least the application process had started.
Okay.
So I guess, Madam Chair, I'm going to throw this back to you. We have kind of started discussing this, but I don't know that technically if this should be opened as a hearing, if that hasn't been applied for. So just to back up. Any dwelling proposed within the floodplain has to get a variance from the zoning board, period, to do that construction.
Okay.
So I guess I'll leave that up to the chair.
I mean, I think we've opened.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, but certainly
my
we can
apologies.
get a requirement before we continue, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for the interruption. Please proceed.
No, that's
fine.
no problem.
What about the driveway? Does the driveway actually count towards that, the cut and fill stuff?
Let me check. So I believe Yeah, we just have it as the total structure. If we were to include the driveway, then I'm assuming that we could include the existing driveway, which is basically the whole site. Almost the whole entire site is concrete and paved. So I think either way, we'd still be under the existing amount. But as of right now, we don't have it included.
Mhm.
Can
And
I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
It was my understanding that the properties in Brockton have to have a certain percentage of the lot to have foliage or growth on it.
Yep.
And the fact that it has all that concrete or asphalt on it, I think it's in violation.
Do you mean the existing lot?
Yeah. So Matt, I mean, it's under the, I think it's under zoning somewhere through there, but it depends on what the lot is zoned as. I think for residential, it's like 40% is the required green space. But part of the proposal for this project is they will be removing a significant portion of the asphalt. Isn't that correct, Matt?
Yeah. There's a huge. I mean, it's kind of tough to see, but basically underneath where the house is, you can see it says existing bit concrete area to be removed, and then there's a line kind of to the east of the existing house that connects to the garage. So basically, that line it goes just under the arrow on the left side of that 20-foot distance. From that line all the way down to the existing house and out to the street is all pavement as of right now. So the only real green space on this site is that tiny little area in the front left corner on Perkins. The rest of the site is all completely paved or building.
Front left on Perkins, that's south. Can you back up just a little?
Yeah, so
Yeah, okay.
basically
Yeah.
where it says plot
Tourist
11
coming in.
2,
Mhm.
that area right there going back towards the yeah, so right about there. That line that Kyle's on right now is the limit of the pavement.
So when you raise both buildings, that will become green space?
Yeah, anything that isn't the driveway or the proposed house would be green space.
Is there a foundation for the house?
Yes. Yep.
Will this house, sorry to interrupt, will
Oh.
the new home be on like on a slab, or will there be basement for that one?
I believe it depends. What's the flood elevation? I believe it's a full house. I don't think I have architectural plans yet. Oh, I do.
That's what I meant by.
Yeah. Let me see how deep the basement is. Attic, floor, first floor.
I think the existing dwelling does have a basement.
I
I
believe
looked
it's a
at
small
the
crawl
accessory.
space.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, this shows a basement. Yep. In the new house.
Would this have to be referred also to peer review because of the fact that it's within floodplain, or?
Yeah, that's generally what we've been doing as the commission. Yeah.
Okay. But for now, commissioners? Any comments?
I don't have any more questions.
I guess it seems like we just also have to wait for the zoning board. But if it does get passed for that, I would like to see the calculations that include like all of the concrete before and then afterwards with all of both the dwelling and the new driveway.
Yeah, it is a little bit confusing.
Yeah, on the left side of the plan, there's a couple charts, and it does show the existing versus the proposed. It has all the calcs for the two dwelling for the garage, the house, and the new existing house, but it doesn't include the pavement. So we possibly could add that.
Hey, Matt, I've got a question here, and maybe you can help me with this. So I think that the base flood elevation for the site is 83 feet.
Yep.
Why do these tables over here? Why do we only go up to elevation 79, 78, 79 rather than 83?
Is that, let's see. So 71 to 79, 78. That's what the flood is? It's 84? 83, right? Yeah, it says it right here, 83. I'm not sure why the charts only go to 79. That's a good question.
Something else besides, besides the
The,
zoning.
the only reason I might say that, Kyle, is that might be the highest grade on the site.
Elise has her hand raised and she's nodding, so that that seems that may be the case.
Yeah, yeah, it looks to me like because I'm seeing a 77 over by the street, a 78, so a 79 might be the highest elevation that we're dealing with. So,
Okay, all right, thank you.
yeah.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this particular?
I do not see any hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay. So I entertain a motion, commissioners, to continue this till the next meeting with the understanding that the appropriate zoning board approval be obtained.
Yeah, they have to at least apply for that variance, and then potentially, if the commission is willing, we could also get this in queue for referral once that process is complete.
Yeah. Sure. Commissioners, how's that
I
sound?
make a motion to continue 136 Perkins Avenue to the next meeting on November, I'm sorry, I don't know the date,
20th,
28th, November
Yeah,
28th.
20.
Oh, 20. And with the stipulation that there needs to be a zoning variance
Application at minimum.
application.
Okay.
Are we also queuing it for review or?
For peer review.
Peer review.
Yes, okay, I will second that
Okay.
motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green eyes,
Nap I.
Talbot, aye.
And Voris, aye. The motion passes. Okay, we'll see you next month, hopefully, Matt. Hopefully get to the zoning board.
Yes, yeah, that's the plan. Thank you.
Now, do you have any others that you're?
I
We'll
don't
see.
believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So continuing on, I'd like to read out this list of continuances. I think I forgot to do that at the very beginning. So number 4 has been continued, 166 East Ashland Street. Number 5, 45 Industrial Boulevard. Number 6, 82 Ames Street. Number 7, 1005 Belmont. Number 9, 1380 Belmont. Number 11, 24 Intervale. Number 12, 549 Copeland, and number 1330 Intervale. So I think our meeting length has been dramatically reduced. Which brings us then to the next, let's see. It would be what, number 8? Is that right? 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
7,
that's correct. Number 8.
the Warren Avenue 2-way. Elise, are you here to speak on for that?
Yes, I would be more than happy to start off. So essentially, for Warren Ave, now as a reminder, this was it's a roadway two-way conversion. And essentially only the intersection at Warren Ave is within jurisdiction. And so we reviewed that area in regards to kind of stormwater. And as part of that review, we did kind of overall look at the stormwater. That was stormwater changes proposed, and it's essentially just upgrading existing systems. So it will be a net improvement. But as far as work within the jurisdictional area goes, there is riverfront area at the site, which Kyle had reviewed and can definitely speak more to. But essentially, it is existing disturbed riverfront where the roadway already is. So they're working within the existing limits of the roadway. So we have completed our review and had no further comments. We did confirm that there's floodplain near the site, but it does not extend onto the actual roadway or in the work area. So our only special condition associated with this project is that we recommended that a copy of the stormwater prevention pollution plan be provided to the commission when work starts or prior to construction. So basically, so that the commission is just aware of what best management practices, et cetera, will be implemented at the site during construction. So that was our only recommended condition associated with this project. Otherwise, we feel they've provided enough to show compliance under the act and the stormwater bylaw as well.
Thank you. Is anybody here from CDM Smith, Kyle?
I don't believe so.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Elise. And Kyle, do you have anything more to add?
Just for completeness, I will piggyback on what Elise just said and say, yes, I did review this project for compliance with the general performance standards for the riverfront area. And as Elise alluded to, in short, they do meet the performance standards. And then also the only work that they're really doing within the riverfront area at all is the kind of milling and repaving of, is it Belmont Street? Down there. Anyway, in that work, if that was all they were doing, that would be exempt work anyway. They wouldn't need to file a notice of intent for that. So in short, everything's good. Nothing to hold up this issuance here tonight.
Okay. Justin, I'm not sure. Were you here when we began hearing the plans for the two-way?
Madam Chair, I don't believe I was.
Okay. So if you weren't here, then you wouldn't be able to vote on that, correct?
Yeah.
You just have to abstain for that. Thank you. Okay, then commissioners, any other questions or comments or anything? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing on Warren Avenue two-way.
I make a motion to close the hearing for the Warren Avenue two-way conversion.
Okay, second.
I'd second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye.
Knapp, aye.
And Boris, aye. The motion passes. And now I entertain a motion, please, to issue a order of conditions for the Warren Avenue two-way with the special conditions that were outlined by Beta.
I make a
motion. Oh, go ahead, Lily.
Okay. I make a motion to issue the order conditions with the special conditions listed by Beta for the Warren Ave two-way conversion.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye.
Knapp, aye.
And Boris, aye. And that motion passes. So Warren Avenue will be two-way tomorrow?
Yep.
If only.
That's great. Thank you. So let's see, the next item on the agenda will be 940 Belmont. Is that correct? The VA hospital stormwater improvement?
Yeah, that is correct. We just didn't receive a continuance request for this project, but just a quick update for the commission. This project was recently funded, and just within the last few days, Beta has received the notice to proceed with the review. So obviously there's nothing to report yet, and I think we are free to continue to the November meeting.
Okay. Entertain a motion to continue 940 Belmont to the next meeting.
I make a motion to continue 940 Belmont Street to 1120 meeting.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye.
Knapp, aye.
Boris, aye. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so 11 and 12 are both continued, 13 continued. The next one is number 14. Oh, this is also JJ Holmgren, JK Holmgren.
Yeah, I spoke to Scott and Matt earlier about this, so they don't necessarily need to be here. Scott presented this initially to the commission last month. So I'm sorry, Madam, may I?
Okay, Zero Lawton Avenue. Yeah, please, it's fine, but it is Zero Lawton Avenue that we're talking about.
Yes, Zero Lawton Avenue, number 14. So Scott Ferry presented this to the commission last month. This was a project that we received a notice of intent for the construction of a home on this parcel. But the complication was there was also an enforcement order that was issued to the same lot, the owner, because they had anticipating construction at this lot. He had brought in a bunch of fill to kind of level everything out. And that fill was still in place as of last month. So the commission required that they remove that fill before we could really look at the notice of intent plan and see what the actual wetland delineation was and so forth. So that fill has been removed. I received some photos of that earlier this week, or maybe even last week. And at this point, the plan is to get the applicant's botanist back out there to reflag the area that used to be covered by the fill, and then submit a new plan with that updated wetland delineation to move forward with notice of intent. In the meantime, I think the commission can vote to refer this out for peer review. I'm recommending that we do that because a majority of the site is wetland, and they are proposing to build within the wetland. And when you do that, you need to have wetland replication as part of the project within that parcel. So I would prefer to have a firm look at this and confirm that all the performance standards are met and that there is enough space to adequately replicate the wetlands as appropriate for the house size that they're proposing. So I think we can make that referral today. That way, whenever that process gets ironed out, we can just send this out.
Do you know if DEP had a file number for that one or not?
I don't know
What
that they
DEP
did.
would have said.
I don't think that they did. I looked just the other day, and I don't think I saw any recently. So.
And is that something that's issued from us, or does the applicant have to apply for it?
No, so what happens is when they file with us, the commission, they also send a copy of everything to the state, and the state reviews that. And as part of that initial review, they'll issue technical comments and the DEP file number. The person who has been reviewing for our portion of the state has moved to a different job. So that is kind of there's someone who's doing that, but I think they're not caught up. They're doing a lot of different towns and things like that. So we've had some trouble with some other projects recently that haven't gotten a DEP file number. Oftentimes, maybe the filing maybe they haven't received that at the state. At some point before we move forward with the issuing an order of conditions, we need to follow up with the state to make sure they A, have a copy of this, and B, what the problem is and why they haven't issued a file number. But at this point, I don't know that that's something that we should be waiting.
So do you feel, Kyle, that the enforcement order has been met as far as the requirements for the enforcement order?
I mean, so I haven't been out to the site. I've just seen photos. So they installed erosion controls around the fill areas, and they have removed the fill, and it looks good from the photos that I've seen. Now, I think the enforcement order did require some restoration, but given that they are planning on potentially developing the site, and I don't know what was really how much disturbance of the vegetation actually occurred at the site. I don't know what the pre-existing conditions were. I think at this point, if the commission is comfortable moving forward with the review of the notice of intent now that the fill has been removed, I think that's probably okay. I don't know that it makes a ton of sense to require a bunch of restoration plantings in that area and then permit a home to be constructed there, in 6 months. So I guess that's ultimately up to the commission. I think the big concern was the fill that was added to the site, and that has been removed.
And there will be a wetlands delineation now that fill has been removed. Will you go out there to visit the site?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I kind of had intended to do that today, and it just slipped my mind.
Okay, so. I didn't mean today, but yeah. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
no,
I would feel
absolutely. At some point, before next month, I can make it out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would feel a lot more comfortable rather than using just photos that were sent.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
When looking at the aerial view, it's very hard to distinguish where the wetlands are and whether there is enough room to build a
Yeah.
home on
You
that
can
parcel of land.
Can you
Yeah.
pull up the
And that's
map?
what would you want to see the like a mass mapper?
I'm not sure what you're looking at, Peggy.
I'm looking at the aerial view that was submitted with the filing, I believe. It's in the commission folder.
The NOI, I can just look it on here. One.
Peggy, was that in the notice of intent application, or is that aerial view from like from the enforcement order section?
Sure, the map is from Mass Mapper. And it says DEP wetlands hydrologic, I should say. And it's got a big red line around the 0 Lawton Ave. And it shows the surrounding plots. Wellsford Street, Ardsley Circle, and it shows like a blank
Yeah, I've got it here.
spot.
Peggy. I can
Or
share.
do you?
the screen.
Mhm. Is there enough room on
Well,
that?
and that's the big question, right? So if we were to pull up the actual site plan that's been proposed, the wetland line kind of comes directly kind of right through this portion. And there apparently is a higher elevation area here in the back. They're proposing to build the structure within the wetland. So when they do that, they have to do a wetland replication on the site. And I don't know that there is enough room to do that. And that's why the third party consultant needs to kind of really dig into this and make sure that if
Yeah, before they go any further, before we go any further, we definitely need to have somebody look at that and make sure that that is even feasible.
I mean that's the process that we're going through now is just to make sure that that's feasible and that it meets the performance standards of the Wetlands Protection Act. I mean that's what the peer review process will be doing.
Okay.
Okay. Is anyone from the public here to speak to that?
I don't see any hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any other questions or anything? I entertain a motion then to, what are we gonna do with this one?
Continue to next month and refer it out to peer review.
And this will be our new peer review process, right?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to continue 0 Lawton Ave to the next meeting and a recommendation of peer review needed before that time.
I second that motion.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Lean, aye.
Yep, aye.
And Voris, aye. And as far as the enforcement order, we want to make sure that we have a delineation, right? That
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so delineation will happen. I think they're planning on doing that shortly because they want to have an updated plan to submit with the notice of intent.
good. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, that motion passes, huh? We're good. Next item on the agenda is partial certificate of compliance for Heritage Court, lot 26. Now, these were two that we discussed together, right? It was lot 26 and 27.
Yes, we did last month. Yep.
Is anyone here from Heritage Court?
Yeah, I've promoted 2 attendees, 2 panelists to speak to this. Shall I begin or?
Oh, sure. I thought usually that was the applicants no, but if you would like to begin, that's
They
fine.
certainly can. I think there are two people that have been promoted that can speak to this today.
I don't see them on my screen.
Yeah, I don't either. I'll try to promote them again. In short, last month we reviewed these two filings for a partial certificate of compliance. They didn't have everything quite up to stuff yet. As far as like the site wasn't fully stabilized. There were some erosion control issues behind the two lots that we're looking at. The conservation markers weren't done at that time. They may have gotten those done by the actual time of the meeting, but when I had gone out there a couple days before, they weren't fully posted. So all of those issues have been addressed. Another final thing that the commission was wanting to see before the issuance of a partial was the beginning of the monthly monitoring reports. And so we have received the first monthly monitoring report. The author of that report is on the call tonight if you want to talk to him about that. So in short, I think that everything for the partial certificates is good to move forward. There are a couple outstanding issues that Chris noted in the environmental monitoring report that I noted when I was out at the site today. The newly installed erosion controls really only extend behind lots 26 and lot 27. Whereas they don't continue on behind lot 28, which is currently under construction, and then beyond lot 28, where there's going to be a kind of a nature walkway that has a lot of disturbed area that's currently unstabilized. The erosion controls that had been originally installed through there have just degraded to the point where they're not functioning. So we do need more erosion controls installed beyond there. So I think by the time that we get the next monthly report, if we can confirm that those are installed at that point, I think we're in good shape. But as far as these two certificate of compliance, I think both these lots have met the minimum requirements for issuing those partials. And I think the commission can move forward with that.
Okay.
That said, that's kind of the certificate of compliance section. And then there's a whole other bit that we talked about last month about the enforcement order or a potential enforcement order for the stormwater features that had been installed not to specifications or maybe just not up to standards before this whole development was permitted the last time in 2022. So there's a whole other section that we can talk about tonight about trying to remedy that situation. So I guess I'll let Chris speak through the chair and comment about the stormwater stuff.
I was just going to be suggesting that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can everyone else hear me?
Mhm.
Beautiful. Okay, so again, Chris Vandenberg with Civil Environmental Consultants. So kind of to Kyle's point, yeah, this kind of a two-part dealio. I believe we've rectified and solved the issue of the partial COCs for lots 26. He made his site visit. I made my site visit. The lawn seems to be stabilized. The erosion controls up on for those two lots. The permanent marker, limit of work markers of 25-foot buffers installed. So I believe there should be, no issue with those partial COCs at this point. I did also recommend to the my client that you have to install the remaining erosion control barrier from the lot 28 around the nature path. I spoke to her today. They're in the process of ordering more erosion control barrier to get that installed. Regarding the as-built stuff, it sounds like this is just the worst possible thing for absolutely no one. Absolutely no one has a clue about anything of whatever happened before, and we are all just
Yeah.
blind leading the blind here. So, I'm trying to piece things together, trying to figure it out, and that's kind of what my client Kyle and I have been trying to hash out, trying to see. I believe we see this beta review comment letter dated October, and that's where it allegedly stood. I've reviewed my files, trying to figure it out. It seems like, kind of coming down to it, it seems like this beta review comment letter is where the buck stopped. And so I'm working with the client to, she's getting price quotes now to mow and maintain the basins. They are severely overgrown at this point. Once we get that, yes, we are in the process of trying to provide responses to essentially this beta review comment letter. And I believe that's where it is kind of left off. And, I need to say this is like in the middle of a project trying to understand what's going on with it, kind of digging into it a little more. I believe we're getting down more to the nitty gritty and trying to kind of getting the truer picture of it. So yeah, needless to say, what Kyle said, yeah, we are getting to the bottom of it, and we are working with the client there. Yeah, we're providing a solution to the base. And needless to say, the thing that's kind of bad too is this client here came on board two years ago and had generally no clue about this either. When it seems like, from what I've dealt with, like they did not personally build these basins; they just came on board after these were constructed. So trying to figure out a path before that, come up with them. But that is something we are doing. I'll tell you that we are rectifying that issue there. And maybe to Kyle's point too, I believe from your email that you sent, we would submit possibly responses to Beta's comments, and then the conservation like hires their own third party reviewer to review this. Is that how it works?
I'm sorry.
I guess it was kind of a question for Kyle. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, if I may. So yeah, that's kind of what I suggested that might be the course of action here. So once the actual remedial work is done on these retention basins to bring them up to to standards or the design specs, once that's done, the order of conditions requires that the applicant submit an as-built with those final elevations and everything like that.
Yep.
That point, yeah, I would recommend that the commission take that as built and send that out for just confirmation that those standards have been met and those what's on the map meets what Beta said needed to be there, and everything's matches, right? So yeah, that's kind of the course of action that I would recommend once we get there.
Okay.
How long ago was that Beta report?
It was issued before the order of conditions was issued in October of 2022. So it's an older one, but they went out with Megan Shave and walked the different retention areas and noted all the deviations or the deficiencies. And those were it's kind of a checklist of all the things that need to be addressed before the issuance of that final certificate of compliance for the whole development back there.
But that won't prevent us from issuing partials now.
No, it wouldn't. But before we issue the final certificate of compliance for the whole thing, yeah.
Yep. And I believe that is a specific condition in the order of conditions that I saw.
Mhm.
Yep,
And
we are working on that.
are stabilized as I believe I had seen some. It didn't look like there was a
Yeah,
lot.
I took some photos when I was out there today, but forgive me, I didn't upload them yet. So I will get those uploaded tomorrow. But yeah, the lots have been seeded. They look great. There's a lot of grass growth. Yep.
Okay. It's amazing what a month will do, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good. Commissioners, any questions? No? Let's see. There's no public required, right? Do we have to close before we issue a partial?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So then I would entertain a motion then to issue a partial certificate of compliance for Heritage Court Lot 26 and 27.
Do we have to vote on these separately?
They don't have to be. I mean, we've discussed them together. I think we can vote on them together, and we'll just group it together in the minutes.
Okay, well, I will make a motion to to issue a partial certificate of compliance for lot 26 of Heritage Court and lot 27 of Heritage Court.
I second that
With
motion.
the stipulation, I'm sorry, are there still erosion controls needed? And-
Yeah, but they're not behind these lots. That's kind of a separate thing. And I thought we would just make sure that's done through the monthly environmental monitoring report that we're receiving now.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll
and what
need
about the stormwater standards? Have they been met?
And that's a separate issue too. So that's before we issue the final complete certificate of compliance, that needs to be met, but we can do these partials before
Okay.
that.
All right, so, do I have to say this again?
No.
I make a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for lot 26 and lot 27 of Heritage Court.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded for partial certificates of compliance for Heritage Court. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Knapp, aye.
And Voris, aye. And motion passes.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone.
You're welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, good. All right, now let's see. Restoration, item number 17, 411 Warren Avenue.
Yeah, excuse me. I spoke to the person who's kind of been managing this, and she's unfortunately unable to attend the meeting tonight. So I told her that I would convey everything to the commission to the best of my ability and report back to her. So if you don't mind, I will share my screen and kind of show you what caused this restoration plan to be submitted to the commission to begin with. So about a year and a half ago, we issued an enforcement order for this unpermitted kind of retention wall here with this backfill. This is at 411 Warren Avenue. Salisbury Brook is channelized and flows right next to this. It's down maybe 10, 15 feet in elevation from here. It's a pretty deep channel where the brook flows. But this is within riverfront area. And in addition to it being within that resource area, this wall here is an unbalanced wall. So like there's fill on one side and there's not fill on the other side. And an unbalanced wall like this needs to be engineered if it's above 3 feet. So this just isn't a safe construction anyway. So we issued an enforcement order and required that they remove this. And if they wanted to build another wall, an engineered wall, they could file a notice of intent to do that. The property owner elected to not do that, and they just want to remove the wall that was constructed. And that's what we've kind of agreed upon. And over the last year or so, it's been very challenging to get a restoration plan put together. She's reached out to multiple different people to put a plan together for her, and she's had trouble getting that finalized. But today we have a plan, so I'm going to share that with you in a moment. And with various discussions with other members of the commission, we've kind of put together a couple extra suggestions to add to the plan that I will include once I get the plan brought up. So give me one moment and I'll bring that up for you.
There was fill that was added there as well, correct?
The fill was they were also excavating the basement, and so that was they put a stop to that because that undermines the foundation. But yeah, that fill was from there and then anywhere else that they were bringing fill in for. So yeah, that's we're going to be removing all of that fill as part of this restoration plan. Oh, I was muted. I don't know if I answered your question and just was muted the whole time as I was talking or not. So, yes, there was fill that was brought in. Did you hear me say that?
Yes.
Okay, great. We're just going to move on then. So here is the restoration plan that was submitted. Here we have kind of a description of the site. There's the home here, the fence. The unpermitted wall is here. Really, I'm most concerned with the verbiage here for the process to remove this wall and unpermitted fill. So this is what's been proposed. Material will be removed by hand. Fill material to be removed down to pre-existing grade levels. The removed material shall be properly disposed of off-site. Erosion control shall be installed prior to removing the retaining wall and remain in place until the restored bank has been stabilized. The Conservation Commission or its agent shall approve the restored slope before reseeding, and then finally they will be reseeding the slope to grass because it was initially a grassed lawn area before they constructed that wall. So this is a pretty bare bones restoration plan, but I think it's sufficient for the needs of this site. The other things through discussions that have been suggested to add to this plan would be to that the commission or the agent confirm the installation of the erosion controls before work is, permitted to begin. And then including a timeline for when this should be done. If they're going to be planting seed, it's kind of getting too late in the year to plant grass now and have it like come up and function to stabilize a slope at this point. So I think we would be looking at a springtime to do the work and then also to get the seed planted. And then obviously as part of this enforcement order, before we kind of sign off and it's all completed, we would make sure that the slope itself is stabilized before we kind of move on. And then this is pretty close to City Hall, and I can be in communication with the property owner and kind of keep an eye on things as they are actually doing the work. Not obviously every day, but I can swing by if they take 2 weeks to do this. I can come by a couple times and just kind of peek in on things. So that's kind of where things are. If the commission, I guess at this point, I'm not looking to approve this. I'm looking to get some feedback from the commission. Is there anything else in addition to the things that I've read off that aren't on the plan that we want to be added to the plan? And then once we get those things added to this plan, then maybe next month, because if we're looking for a spring kind of target for this anyway, we can push this off until November to finally get a plan that has everything that we want on it. So I guess I'm looking for feedback from the commission. Is there anything else you want on this in addition to the verbiage that I added there a moment ago?
I have a question actually, Kyle. You mentioned they stopped the excavation of the basement because it was, just stabilizing the building. Are they having plans to kind of fix the basement? And if so, is there like anything that's gonna like any staging or any kind of machinery that's gonna have to end up on the property to help them with
Sure.
fixing the basement?
As far as I know, all of that has already been like rectified. So that was handled through the building department. I can follow up with the building department. I don't know what was done to rectify that. I don't know if they just said stop and then they had someone come in and inspect it to make sure it was still structurally sound, and that was the end of it, or if they had to do some remedial work inside to shore up the foundation. I do know when all of this kind of came to light at the same time, myself, the fire department, the building department, the health department were all out there on site the same time when we first discovered all of this. And at that time, they did close the building down. They evacuated everyone for a couple of weeks up to a month before they allowed people to come back in. But they have allowed people to move back in. So I'm assuming that the foundation at this point is structurally sound. But I don't know what was done to shore that up, if anything.
I just have a quick question as far as the map itself. It says concrete entry walkway. That's the walk that's right to the left of that wall. Is that what that is? And
No,
I think area.
I think that's not a walkway. I think that is the retaining wall for the brook, the channel of Salisbury Brook. Again, this depiction isn't great. It doesn't really show the limit of disturbance where the fill is.
Right.
But in my mind, it was such a challenge to get this here, and we are requiring that they have this before we move forward with the restoration. Really what the target here for the commission is to get that wall removed and that fill removed in an appropriate manner. And I think that the text here with the conditions that we kind of outlined as well will kind of cover that. I'm less concerned about having a very detailed map here. We don't really have a map of the existing conditions before the wall was added. We're going to have to kind of dig down and figure out where that slope was when we get there. So anyway, I'm hoping we can kind of just accept, I mean, obviously with the changes that have been proposed, but just kind of move forward with this and evaluate this restoration plan on its own merits versus any other restoration plan that we may have looked at recently that may have been more in depth. Because I think, and I'm kind of referring to that Brewster's Ambulance restoration plan that we approved a month or two ago. That was within a wetland area, so that had a lot more, it was within the resource area, and we were doing a restoration plantings there. We're just planting this to grass after the slope has been regraded to the original slope. So I think that this is a much less intense, much less sensitive in the sense that it's not built within a resource area. It's just within the riverfront area, and we're just restoring it back to the lawn that it was before. So, I guess to Madam Chair, your point, there is a lot to be desired here, but I don't know what that's really going to benefit us in the long run. I'd rather get this approved and able to be remedied.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What happens if they remove the wall and they don't have the money or the resources to put up an engineered retaining wall? Does all of that dirt just slope off into the Salisbury River? Is the retaining wall large enough to withhold that? What was it like before they put up a retaining wall?
So the retaining wall that we saw in the photo that's not the retaining wall that goes all the way down to where the water is conveyed for Salisbury Brook. This is 4 or 5 feet from the top of that concrete conveyance, and it kind of slopes upward to where their lawn is. And there's actually an existing chain link fence that is at the property boundary. And then on the house side of that chain link fence is where they've constructed their own retaining wall, because what they wanted to do is they wanted to bring the grade up of that entire lawn area so it was more flat, because right now, or existing before they added all this stuff, it was sloped pretty drastically, and they were having they had access issues to get to the back of the property. So the goal from their perspective was to just flatten that area out. So they built a retaining wall on their property that doesn't the retaining wall that we are requiring them to remove is only holding back that new material that they added from the basement that they excavated from down there. This isn't anything to do with the retaining wall that holds back the foundation of the home, or is conveying Salisbury Brook.
Okay, thank you.
May I interject for something? Going back to your question, Madam Chair, if actually kind of you scroll down a bit on the plan, because I was looking, you can actually kind of see where it said concrete entry walkway. I think they just kind of copy and pasted the thing. So that's actually pointing to where the walkway is.
Oh
And
yeah.
you can also see what, after the removal of the retaining wall and the compost sock for stabilization, what the area kind of will look like.
You can see that, but can you, yeah. Okay, that makes much more sense. Thank you. Thank you, Lily.
Yeah, thank you, Lily. That helps quite a bit. So yeah, this is just an incorrect.
Yeah. Okay.
There at all.
That makes
I can see if they can just remove that, because they're going to add more text to this removal and restoration process. I'll have them just remove that concrete entry walkway. Thank you, Lily.
Maybe we want to show the positioning of the river, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. We can maybe put that on there. Yep.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So this is
we don't need to vote to close or do anything.
No.
I was just looking for some feedback. So now that I've received that, I will pass that on to the owner, and they will revise this plan and resubmit that for final approval next month.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is 2 Silver Road. And that's a violation discussion?
Yes, we had on the docket tonight, Pat Hill, the commissioner of the Brockton Department of Public Works, was supposed to attend the meeting this evening to talk to the commission about both number 18 2 Silver Road and number 1934 Herman Street. I'm not comfortable talking about 2 Silver Road without him, but I might be able to kind of talk the commission through 34 Herman Street.
So he's not here tonight?
He's not in attendance. That's correct.
Okay.
Shall I speak to 34 Herman Street?
Sure, that's fine. Is everyone okay with the 2 Silver Road, the fact, the 2 trees that were down and then an enforcement order was issued? And I think that's where it is right now. That enforcement order was issued.
That's, yeah,
Pretty
Pat
much.
was going to speak to the commission about how to resolve that whole issue.
Yes. Okay. Everybody okay with
Madam
that?
Chair, I know I can't vote on this, but I do have a question. Should we wait until, I think it's Commissioner Hill can get back to us to discuss 2 Silver and 34 Herman at the same time, or is that a bad idea?
I think 2 Silver will do separately, and then Herman will get some information from Kyle because he has photos and things like that. I think
Okay.
that are important for us to see before Commissioner Hill comes. Is that okay? Okay, so 2 Silver we will just wait on, and if you'd like, Kyle, if you can elucidate 34 Herman for us, that would be lovely.
Yeah, so 34 Herman Street has a long enforcement history with the commission, going back, and I don't have the exact date in front of me, but multiple years. And most recently, when I came on board with the city last year, the law department asked me to reissue an enforcement order. So that was one of the first enforcement orders that I issued, was for this property. In short, the property owners also operate a construction company, and they are bringing in spoil. Is that correct, Justin? Construction spoil.
Spoil from the ground, correct?
Okay, spoil from the ground. So this is it's a mixture of soil with concrete, bricks, just any sort of other like construction debris. They're bringing it back to their property, and they're dumping it in their backyard. And over the years, they've dumped in a crazy amount of fill in their backyard. And again, this isn't clean fill. This is
Do you have
spoil.
those photos, Kyle?
I do have some photos. I'll share them in a moment. But then they've also been pushing this fill into the lot adjacent to them, which is owned by the city. And through that city lot, there's a stream that's conveyed through there. So it's a jurisdictional area, and they're just adding all this fill in there. So again, this is something that the city's been aware of for years. But we've just struggled to get any traction on any sort of action. So we issued an enforcement order last year. We took the homeowner to court, and we received a court order allowing the city to access, because the homeowner has historically just not been willing to work with the city and rectify the situation. We have gotten a court order to allow the city to go in and do that work. So that's kind of where things have stood for a few months. And Pat Hill is going to come here and talk to the commission about some of the difficulties he's had getting this work kind of kickstarted. And he was going to bring a proposition to the commission as to one option to move forward. But seeing that he's not here, I won't speak to that, but I will share some photos. Pat Hill, myself, a health inspector, and a police officer were out at the site yesterday morning. And so these photos that I'm sharing with you were from yesterday, and they're pretty dramatic. So, okay.
So the construction company, this is their home, or do they work?
I'm not sure if on Google Maps, it says that that's their home of operation. I don't know if they're actually incorporated there, or probably not. But I'm not exactly sure where the company is technically operated out of, but they do a lot of operation out of this property. So this is all new fill. This wasn't here. We were at the site before yesterday morning. We were out there 6 months ago, maybe, and everything you see here is more and than was there 6 months ago. So here's the pile of fill they have. They haven't had a chance to move this out to the back where they kind of push all of this material. I'm just going to kind of flip through these pretty quickly. Nope, maybe not. And so the wooded area you see back here is the city-owned lot. It's a very low area, water. There are a few channelized areas, but with any real rain, basically this whole area back here becomes inundated with water. So anyway, so this is all new, obviously new disturbed area that they've been working on. We had reports that over the weekend they did a lot of work back here, but you can see that this isn't just dirt. This is full of concrete. There's bricks in there. We found a frying pan, and so it's just blatant disregard. There's chain link fence here. Um, this is just the material that they're dumping here. The water is conveyed kind of right through this area. We're within 20 feet of open water at this point. So this is the problem. Pat was going to come here today with a suggestion of having DEP come in and do the removal work. But I guess we'll just wait for next month for Pat to kind of come with an actual written up plan to move forward with this.
Do you mean the state DEP or city?
I'm sorry, did I say DEP?
Public Health, Public
DPW.
Works, or DPW? Yeah.
I meant, yeah,
Okay.
the Brockton DPW would be the ones that are coming in here and just removing all of this material is what the proposition is. But we'll let Pat speak to that, I guess, next month.
Has anyone issued a cease and desist order, and isn't that enforceable with law enforcement?
Yes, and multiple times, and they just keep doing things, and at the end of the day, you have to be there to stop it, and we're not stationing police there all the time. So no, multiple cease and desist orders, stop work orders, like anything you can think of has been issued to these people. They're just continuing to do this, even after the court
What
order.
about revoking their permit to work in the city of Brockton?
Well, and that's another thing. I just brought that up with the health inspector. I've not spoken to the city's attorneys about that yet, but I will be meeting some of them tomorrow morning. Not about this specifically, but that's something that I will bring up. Is action against that company an option? Because at this point, like they're just blatantly ignoring anything. But ultimately, this needs to be addressed. Like this is nuts.
Now, is there an active enforcement order right now?
Yes. Currently, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that active enforcement order was the basis for the court order, which we currently
Right.
have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kyle, with the DPW gonna move in and clear this lot or whatever they're gonna do, is the city able to put a lien on the property?
Yeah, that would be the ultimate solution here, right? The city would upfront that cost, and then they would put a lien against the property to recoup that cost eventually. Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you for asking that. It's a great clarifying question.
So there's really nothing we can do right now, huh?
Nope. I mean, we're just we'll hopefully invite Pat back next month and
Yeah.
have a discussion then.
Okay, thank you. And that brings us to the last item on the agenda, Oak Hill Way tree clearing.
Yeah, the final thing here is a kind of a utility notice that I received a couple of weeks ago. I didn't really look into this much until the last couple of days. So I'm going to share my screen again, if that's all right, to show you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Is anyone here from the utility?
Nope, I didn't ask them to be.
Okay.
They may decide to come next month, but so anyway, here is the mass mapper view of the area. The commission recently issued an order of conditions for some work done at this. This is an electrical kind of substation. There's some excavation that has been proposed and approved to run a new kind of like power line, kind of through this region of the grounds here, and they're going to do some addition, add some new hardware kind of to this region. I got this notice saying that they wanted to run my understanding is an above ground power line from a pole from somewhere down here across this area here, this wooded area, and there's a wetland in here that was delineated as part of the notice of intent filing that we just did. So they want to bring in that power line across the wetland here and remove a couple trees as part of that, running that line in to to connect to some of the buildings that they're constructing as part of the work approved under the notice of intent that we just recently issued the order of conditions for. They claimed it was exempt work, and as I spoke to some of the commission members yesterday, and at that point I hadn't really looked into this, but since then I did some more digging, and I don't believe the work that they're proposing is exempt work. Generally, utility exemptions are for maintenance, replacement, or repair, and running a new line to new hardware is none of those things. So I reached back out this afternoon. I reached back out to the person who emailed me originally about this, and I kind of conveyed that concern. And I said that I think that the appropriate thing to do here is to file an amended order of conditions. And again, I just suggested that this afternoon. I've not heard anything back. Excuse me. Ultimately, it's up to the project person who wants to do the work to prove to the commission that the work that they are proposing is exempt if they think it is. So at this point, the ball's kind of back in their court. They can either put together a more robust argument for why this proposed work is exempt, or they can file an amended order of conditions for the addition of that power line through the wetland area. So other than that, nothing to report new since 4 p.m. today. So I'll update you I guess next month as to how they want to proceed with this.
But National Grid, what?
Yeah, Eversource, National Grid. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just
Aren't there any other telephone poles on that street?
And that's another thing. They might have gone for the closest one, rather than routing one that's a little bit farther away that doesn't go through the wetland. So that might be an option for them as well. But I don't know offhand.
I don't like the idea of them cutting down trees, and that's such a small area to begin with. There's got to be other telephone poles that they can access.
Yeah, and that might be the easiest solution, is just to not worry about the amended order, go from a different pole if they are able to.
Okay.
Because once they put it through there and the trees start growing, they're going to start cutting down more trees. I've seen it on my street, and the trees get destroyed the more you cut them down. And you try and split them down the middle, but it doesn't work, and then the tree dies. So I don't like any disturbance in that area at all. Would be a good idea.
All right, awesome, thank you. And if they were to file the amended order of conditions, these concerns could be raised there, and we could also, if they were to go that route, ask them if they could go from a different pole. Like kind of looking at an alternatives analysis, but they might just decide to do that on their own. We'll see.
Good.
So we'll see them on next month's agenda.
I will wait to hear back from them, and I don't think the work's been done yet. And if they decide to change their plan where it doesn't go through the wetland, they don't even need to necessarily notify us. So we'll just kind of see how this plays out.
So will you tell them that you think it should go through an amended order?
I've already sent that email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. Great. You're so efficient, sir.
Thanks.
Is it appropriate to make an emotion to adjourn the meeting at this point?
Would be just dandy.
I second that motion.
Motion made, seconded. Roll call vote.
Curtis, aye.
Green eye.
Yeah, aye.
Aye.
And where's that? Bye-bye.
Have a nice week,
Thanks, everyone.
everybody.